else on it that's kind of straighter, and minimize and make it a tactical vehicle. That's how we build up a disposable tactical fleet, because that's really what we're looking to do. We want to set it up in such a way that we've got what we want, and if we have to cast it away or walk away from it, we're not going to think twice about it. $50,000 or $60,000 brand new truck, that's not going to be very easy for a lot of people. We can't leave the truck, man. Yeah, well, we are leaving that truck because we aren't fixing it here now. In fact, the people are more valuable than the vehicle, and since we have to DD the AO, then guess what? We're probably going to fry it ourselves, but pull everything off useful now. Maybe we'll come back for it later. We'll see what happens. And as it is, just start thinking right now tactical and not so much just disposable, but again, expendable if needed. You aren't going to cry about it. That's why the vehicles, the equipment, whatever hardware you're putting together, it does not have to be the top of the line, most expensive, because when it takes a hit, you could have had 20 and it wouldn't have made a difference. But when it's the most expensive and you have one, then you have none. See what I mean? There's the problem. We need a vast fleet and reserve. That's what we should be looking at right now. So anyway, there's I'm going to cut into this here, I think, and Ed won't have to worry about it. It's not that long. Anyway, this is a little clip from Firefly. This is Out the Airlock is what it's titled, but it's actually like this particular scene from a later part of the one season of Firefly. And the character is stuck in the airlock because he kind of betrayed everybody, or at least he betrayed the core team, because he was going to make a bounty on a guy and his sister who were on board the ship, okay? But pay attention, because the only reason I want to use this clip is because there's something that the captain says that should kind of sink in. And it does, in a way, have to do with the BS we're seeing with Wisconsin right now. But for that matter, anywhere else, for the people who believe that they really don't, we should get rid of the police. We need to defund the police. Okay, well, hold on here. Let me play this for a minute. I want to take a second.
Which is what happens when you call the feds.
No, I would never do that. My hand to God. They struck me down as I'm standing here. Couldn't go out the front. I had to improvise. Open the damn door.
You called the feds.
What? I got pissed.
Which is what happens when you call the feds.
No, I would never do that. My hand to God. They struck me down as I'm standing here.
Well, you won't be standing there long.
The minute we break out,
you'll be a lot thinner once you get sucked out that hole.
Oh, come on now.
Leaving Nashville in 2 minutes.
That ain't no way for a man to die. You want to kill me? Shoot me. Just let me in.
I hear tell they used to keel haul traders back in the day. I don't have a keel to haul you on, so.
Oh. Okay. I'm sorry, all right?
Sorry for what, Shane? I thought you'd never do such a thing.
Money was too good. I got stupid. I'm sorry, okay? Be reasonable. What are you taking it so personal for? It ain't like I ratted you out to the feds.
Well, but you did. You turn on any of my crew, you turn on me. But since that's a concept you can't seem to wrap your head around, then you got no place here.
You did it to me, Jane. That's a fact. What are you going to tell the others?
About what?
About why I'm dead. And not about it. Make something up. Don't tell them what I did.
Next time you decide to stab me in the back,
Have the guts to do it to my face. Can I come in?
No. Anyway. anyway, I don't know how well that should have come out well enough, I think. I had to back it because somehow it jumped forward. Of course, that's always the case when you want to use something. It's just going to glitch on you, and then you have to beat the hell out of it. No, we just reset it and go through. I got pinched. That's what happens when you call the Fed. I got pinched. I couldn't go through the front. I got pinched. That's what happens when you call the Fed. Now, let's go to this thing in Wisconsin. I want to point something out. Okay, Homie Fry, I don't care what his name is, the fool, is waving a knife around between, Yolanda and bejesus and whoever else is there, because what happened is basically the police were called to this gas station, whatever the hell it was, and blah, 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 blah. And what's interesting is that by the time everybody got done with this, well, it turns out that there's a lot of other people, who, by the way, were black, not white, who were, again, calling the police because, well, you got to do something. He's waving the knife around and, he's going crazy on his family and blah, 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 blah. Well, it turns out that you don't call the police. I mean, well, granted, if you're the other people, but you see, it turns out, and they're trying to be quiet about this, is that it may have been that even the family called the police, because apparently the drugs were good. So we've got a situation where you got to remember in this day and age, if you call a third party, who, by the way, is first going to look at it this way: if you're black, you can do anything. They've now decided they're going to have to do. This is where Wisconsin's having its turn of being burned down by the communists. That when blacks or Hispanics or queers or take your pick, pedophilic homosexual Eskimos go crazy and want to do something, the cops have to literally stand and watch. Now, if it's a white taxpayer who works for a living, well, not so much. They can beat you down, kick in your door, confiscate your guns, do whatever they want. And that's the reality of how things really have been working for quite some time. But now we're going to the next tier with all of this. And that's why it's Wisconsin's turn, burn, baby, burn. But the core element here, again, is, it's like what happened with the Detroit scam. Like I told you, they tried to pump the same stuff up here in Detroit. Homie Fry got shot, and they kept repeating. He was unarmed. Guy had a .25. He pulled a... Hell, you watch the video. The cops are watching him, and the idiot stick is fumbling around in a pocket that's way, way too deep for what he had in his pocket. And he finally pulls it out, and he starts clicking away, pop, 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 on the closest cop, who, by the way, never got his gun out. And then Homie Fry gets shot by 3-4 other cops who just happen to be standing right there because it's very obvious in the video. Now, Homie Fry wasn't bright, but I will give him credit for this. His dog was being arrested, and he, the term dog means loyal. And so he, like he said, if you listen to the video, I can't let you take my dog. So again, he pulls out the little gat and he starts wailing away, and he got plugged for it. Well, he actually kept his promise. You got to admit that. I don't care what anybody says. There's a lot of the people that, got really pretty tactical gear, all shiny, best weapons, thousands of dollars worth of each gun they got. When the time comes, never show up when things get serious. They disappear for 3 to 6 months at a time, and then they peek over the brush, and they peek around the corner, and they come off from underneath the bed over there on the left. And then they finally show up again and, hi, I'm back. And it's like, then the moment something gets serious, there's a pee trail on the floor, a little brown streak, and all you see when you turn and look is the bottom of tennis shoes and elbows pumping through the grass, heading towards the tree line again, way back behind you. On the other hand, like I said, well, again, I would have coached the guy better, but, the dog did his job, okay? So just could have done it with better tools and should have done it with a little better timing and a little more coordination. But anyway, that's Detroit. Now, this situation here, Homie Fry, of course, was not unarmed. In fact, there's enough imagery to show what it is that was going on, that as far as what he had, then saying, I'm going to my car, you get a gun. Well, actually, you probably shouldn't say that to the cops who are already pulling guns on you, but here again was the guy looking for death by cop, or perhaps just, if he survived, big insurance claim. And of course, suing the city, suing everybody, I'm a poor black person, blah, 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 blah. Well, there's a couple things there. Again, you got to survive it. That's the most common miscalculation. It's like, dude, yeah, that's a really interesting theory about how you're going to make some money, but you have to live to tell about it. Well, you don't have to. You're next to kin, especially when they're with going to be coached by the Demicans and the Soros crew type creatures about what to do. Well, somebody's going to get the money, but it might not be you because you're the one taking the lead. Okay. Of course, now we have, and we're going to have nonstop BS with Wisconsin for a while. So it's Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Soviet Socialist Democracies, the SSD communist operation. It's their turn to get hit. Now, let me point something out about Wisconsin. Oh, that looks bad. Oh, that really looks bad. But, guys, do you live in Wisconsin? This is something I've come to pretty much the conclusion with a lot of this here. It's like Portland, Oregon, okay? Well, Portland, Oregon, they elected that commie mayor, and they elected all the communists, and the cops loved following the orders of the communists, and the locals loved communism so much they kept pumping for more and more communism until it got to the level that would be expected. And, well, now we have what we have with Portland, and it'll continue to get worse, not better. Well, not my circus, not my monkeys. Now, we could go in and deal with a problem. You could saute in randomly with more confusion and every once in a while start to thin their numbers out. That wouldn't be a bad thing. That would be something that would be quite bright. But the same is true with Wisconsin. Aren't there millions of people in Wisconsin? Aren't there a whole bunch of people that are supposed to be, patriot and stepping up to the plate, and it's their property, not mine? This is a big country. By the way, playing Captain Save-A-Ho, go into places where there's lots of people who have guns and have the wherewithal. Playing Captain Save-A-Ho is going to get your butt killed while no appreciation being shown. In fact, those same cowards that are going to leave that snail trail of poop back into the tree line and that are peeing their pants every step of the way while they're running like hell in the old adrenaline rush, hell, they'll jump a 10-foot fence and won't even know it's there while they're busy unassing the AO as, being the cowards they are and running like hell. So why am I supposed to be thinking that, we need to go there? We don't. In fact, we have everybody's got their backyard and piece of real estate where we need to take care of that first. Wisconsin's been enemy territory for the longest time. It was invaded from Chicago with a Jewish mob coming up from below. Milwaukee's a big queer town, just like San Francisco. Green Bay is maybe so far north, but it's leftist just like the rest. Every major metropolitan area has the queer as a $3 bill, quadriplegic, homosexual, Eskimo, the ultimate minority in charge. And in the process, guess what what do you get for it? Don't forget, Green Bay's got a football team, too, and all the football teams are now licking poof de rumpus so deep their ears are brown and bending a knee or laying on their belly, and everybody, of course, licking the big bunghole to show that they're politically correct. Sports is dead, and NASCAR is, too. Sports and NASCAR is dead, as far as I'm concerned. They were dead before, I don't have any interest, but they are gone now. So,
is it any surprise that it's another one of these Demican cities that this has happened in?
Right, where they, again, now remember, the Demican cops, the city, if it's being run by the Demicans, all the training, all of the operations, everything you see there, guys, was brought to you by the communists. The Demicans, the communists, they got everything that they got in place is what they wanted in place. And then, when something happens, now they're using it to go to the even greater extreme. But here's what's comical. Remember what we've said about useful idiots? Haven't they been using the cops as useful idiots for a very long time? And one thing we've pointed out for years, when it comes to the useful idiots, they don't have a clue about the idea that there are no deals. Do the communist cops see? Because all these characters, they'd follow every order that every Soviet in every one of these cities gives. And they were their thug ugly henchmen. Isn't that fascinating? Black uniforms, lots of insignia, lots of puffing up. And it was promoted by, and in fact, hell, okay, look at the Seattle police chief. Now, by the way, that one just quit, but how did that black female get that job? She got that job because she's a black female, not because she was qualified. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. Oh, Mark, you can't say that. BS. I've seen so much of this, and especially in a hyper-leftist town like that, there were a whole lot of people that were far more qualified. Okay, so they got what they wanted. You literally have a black female who I'm sure is very Soviet, very communist, in charge of the secret police you demanded that you would establish for the city, run by the communists who are in the city council, run by the communist mayor.
And in a position where if she wanted to, she could actually affect change, but instead she stepped aside after she completed her goal.
Right. And again, guaranteed going to be either hired somewhere or is sucked in so much retirement money she doesn't need to go work anywhere else. I mean, he, she, it, I don't know, may not be female, may just look female. Who knows? I mean, they can't count on that anymore with especially the hyper-leftist locations. You can pretty well count on the idea it's Twilight Zone time, you know, so.
But again, with this whole thing, and before you came up, I was playing a video from one of the guys. I listened to his YouTube videos. He does comics and video games and stuff. He lives nearby, and one of his favorite haunts got hit, so he's pissed off, so he did a video about it. The focus of, okay, the cops did something. Well, we saw one instance where the police department, where the cops were from, got hit and burned. Focus in the right area. Everything else is, you know, oh, we're going to burn, torch the businesses of the people who live in the... What does that have to do with the person who wronged you? Yeah, absolutely nothing. It's another part of the lie. You know, you get the cops to do something, and then, like we talk about, action, reaction as solution that otherwise you wouldn't accept. Well, we've got the action, and then we have a reaction that is not focused on the party involved, and now they want to give a solution that has nothing to do, again, with either parties. It's just more federal police. They talk about defunding the local cops, but they want to bring in social workers with guns and badges and psychiatrists with guns and badges to replace the local cops with guns and badges, you know, if you read their proposals.
Right, and again, one of the problems that we've got here is, as we've explained, is the federal cop will be the equivalent to the local cop because they're going to be tied into the UN. And so for everybody out there, see, the idiot sticks. Now, of course, the useful idiots that will be promoting this will unto themselves be carved away, just like the useful idiot cops are being carved away. Everybody understand that? Because that's really where we are with this right now. And again, Wisconsin, I'm going to repeat this, not my circus, those aren't my monkeys. You know, the one car dealership that was down in Homey Fry Town, wherever the hell that was, you know, has got the Black Lives Matter on his sign. Now, was he doing that because he was concerned about Black Lives Matter? Or was he doing that because, you know, you do that to blend in? Remember, if you watch all the old movies about all the crazies and the, you know, nutcases, how you put out the flag that they were waving or whatever, and the idea is that way maybe they don't send you to the guillotine or maybe they don't send you to the gulag, and so you cheer harder for Stalin, you cheer harder for Lenin, you cheer harder for Trotsky. Depending on what year it is, you better cheer real hard too.
Well, you know, we talk about the good victim thing, and that's one of the reasons why I was playing that video. I didn't get to play it all the way through before you came up, Dad. I was just
right. I heard part of it. I figured that's what it was. Is they got hit.
He's showing more outrage than the store owners are. The store owners won't call him out because the store owners are, you know, pro Black Lives Matter, supposedly. They don't want to be labeled as racist. They're going to roll over and be a good victim. And that's why he's pissed off, you know, because he's watching his friends take this hit, and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't even feel like they're responsible for it. They should be calling out the people that've done this to him. He's ready. If he knew who they were, you know, this guy's usually, you know, one of the peace, love, dope people first. You know, he's into comic books, video games, and the whole fandom scene where, granted, he does some political stuff just because of the way that the fandom's been attacked, and now he's looking at this BS happening, and he's talking about violence. That's the first time I've ever heard him talk about physically going out and beating somebody up.
But again, that's where everybody is having their epiphany. You know, everybody is learning, and this is something we've talked about for the longest time. It's like eventually you're going to realize that, well, guys, if you don't do something, they're just going to keep coming back, or they'll keep doing what they're doing. And, well, if they burned the one place and busted it down, don't forget that maybe they got to go somewhere else. Maybe they got to pick another. Oh, my, well, you thought you had. Well, they came down the road. Well, again, parasites cannot live upon parasites. And what you've got here is a situation where, well, like we watched in Wisconsin the first night, where conveniently, as I pointed out, there's this pile of bricks right next to this building, Hebrew lightning. And, of course, the building itself around the corner has got, you know, like pane glass window after four-level pane glass window the size of the front of your house. And they're busting, you know, taking two rocks and, you know, busting each window, or at least punching a hole through them. They're done. Those panels, that glass is finished. That's thousands and thousands of dollars per window. It's not like a few $100s per window for that. You're talking thousands of dollars for glass like that. And in this economy, here's what's really comical. It's most likely that they'll just say, well, I guess we don't need those windows anymore, and it'll be like Detroit, where the first thing that happens, they brick the windows up. Well, why can't we see it? Why can't we? Oh, it's like a prison. Because we're keeping you out with the bricks. And that's exactly what you're going to see. If this is the one comical part about what they're doing right now especially, is there is not necessarily any funding to come back in and build stuff up. And the idiot sticks, you know, they keep repeating this mantra, you got insurance. Do you think that everybody was able to maintain their insurance while they're out of business? In fact, one of the things that people quietly slide off, you know, if they have to, if they're really on their last legs, but they're not trying to, you know, file bankruptcy, is the extraneous stuff that you don't necessarily see right off the bat. You can't see it; it's not right in front of you. Well, insurance policies are not physical. You can't see them. They don't change. It doesn't change the color of the curtains if you don't have insurance. It doesn't change the front door. It doesn't change the inside of the restaurant or the workout gym or whatever. And for that reason, insurance quietly might be allowed to slip with the claim that, oh yeah, I forgot that, which is understandable because you're trying to make ends meet. You still have to put, you know, as Joe would say, beans and weenies on the table. You still got to do all the other things that need to be done in the process, you know, to continue to function and stay alive, plus you're operating the system, whatever it is, the business, the manufacturing operation, take your pick.
And insurance companies don't stay in business by paying out. They have law firms which you have to hire a lawyer to go up against to, you know, get your claim through.
Exactly.
Especially if it's a big claim, like the guy who was talking about the video game store that was hit. That's what it was. Was it not just a gaming store, but it was a computer lounge? Going over how much of their product and everything was stolen, the total value of it. The insurance company has already told them, no. They're going to have to take them to court. Do you think they have the money to take them to court after a hit like that? You think their business is ever going to open again?
Yeah, in many cases, what they're going to decide is, well, this is a good excuse to, I'm done. That's the part everybody tends to forget. It's like, well, you know what, I think we're finished with this one. That's enough. We're not doing any more. And so that's another business gone. It's like car dealerships. Car dealerships can go anywhere. I mean, parking lots are, you know, pretty readily available, and empty spaces are pretty readily available. And if it looks like, you know, being in a location where the fools are going to do what they're going to do like that, then it's time to walk away and go somewhere else. And I do believe, talking to all of the audience here, with all the different people that are listening, like I said, at the very least, you need to pick a place away, you know, a little hidey hole or a community, a small dot on the map, and find a place that's empty. In fact, find a bunch of places that are empty. A lot of little towns out there got a lot of space and a lot of storefronts and a lot of overhead space too. And you can buy it for a song and a dance. And you know what? Being in that city is not going to be in any way, shape, or form a benefit as things continue the way we are seeing them operate right now. There's no sense in sticking around for the disaster. And as far as I'm concerned, like I said, if you're in one of the Soviet states, your butt needs to be out of there right now. You want to fight for it, you can fight for it, but you need to have everybody out in a more, let's just say, energetic environment where it's more likely the children and the wife are going to be safe. And maybe you're not even going to go back and decide that it's worth fighting for Californication land or Oregon on Portlandia or Seattle stand. Take your pick. You're not wanting to go any one of those locations. You're going to decide it's done. It's like what happened with Detroit. A lot of people, for years, well, we're going to, do whatever. Well, the blacks could do no wrong. They could murder anybody they want. The dope dealers went crazy. The Jewish mob raked in all the cash because as soon as they started creating the fictional crisis, it was completely fabricated because of the kosher mafia's manipulation of the government, of the courts, and the money system. And Detroit, eventually, a lot of people just said, well, you know what? Looks like you guys really, really need it. And so everybody got what they wanted in Detroit. Everybody got what they wanted in Cleveland. Cleveland's worse than Detroit, actually. It's kind of funny. You could argue back and forth. One's better than the other. But there's, like I said, there's some really funny little pieces that have been done out there joking about Cleveland on YouTube. Really well done. They're like promotionals for the community, and it's tongue-in-cheek satire is what it is. But the situation, those aren't the only two cities. It's all over the country like this. And it's just the number of the cities we just rattled off, they're at the upper end of the cycle, working their way down to the toilet the rest of the way. Not that they aren't already in the toilet in many categories. Personally, again, why are you going, if you absolutely have to go into the metropolitan area like in Portland, you go in to do whatever you're going to do. You get out, you plan on using the best, fastest route. You constantly pay attention to your environment. You don't take extraneous people with you. You're there for a purpose, make money, leave. Take their money, carry it away from there. That's how you should be looking at it. And again, since cities typically have government tip money, that's why a lot of people go in there, because that government tip money falls from the magical sky tit constantly. In fact, new tits roll down out of the sky all the time from the Fed, where they steal money from all of us to give to all the little parasite buddies and all these little communist enclaves. And they have got a business, an operation, a system worked out for that purpose, with that purpose in mind. That's all they do. So, again, we just need to understand Wisconsin, that's not my circus, those are not my monkeys, old police saying. And I have to agree with them. Yeah, those are not my monkeys. Now, here's some mean stuff I'm going to point out. Maybe I shouldn't say anything about it, but, gravity sucks. And the higher you are, if you drop something from above with painted dark and, like ominous, and you let it go from thousands of feet up, it's amazing how much stuff that thing will go through, and what velocity achieves just with gravity. So something to think about there. If something can grip something and then take it to a height, something could also let it go and let it drop from that height. Look up a little thing called lazy dogs. If you don't know what a lazy dog is and you've been in munitions for any period of time, well, you need to go find out more about lazy dogs. I want you to think about something. What if you were to take something like a traditional lazy dog, attach it to a drone? Oh, they go, how high can a drone fly? And since you have perfect GPS and, again, point of reference directly below the aircraft, as long as you can put it within, like, say, the red dot or the X-ring, and you don't care, and you let it go, what would that do on a street to somebody who's just bebopping along? Go look at a lazy dog, and then see if that it makes sense to you. So just a heads up. Hey, I'll tell you what we need to do, though, and I wanted to do this anyway. Roland, Ed, if you could, before we get to the top, we can fit this in. And I want you to pay attention to the very end of the song. And I'm gonna qualify that, just like that little soundbite from Firefly. There was only a little piece of it, but the rest of it was fun to listen to anyway. Again, I got pinched. That's what happens when you call the Fed. I got killed. That's what happens when you call the police. Anyway, Edward, if you could, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, the album studio version, not live. There's several good postings. Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, Warren Zevon. We got to keep him alive. It's just like Carl Klang. We got to keep him alive. To do that, you play his music, and it's harder than hell to hear. You won't hear that anywhere except here, basically. Again, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that was done. Jungle Work, that's another good one. And needless to say, Lawyers, Guns, and Money. But we're going to work on Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner by Warren Zevon. Hopefully we'll pinch it in there. We got enough time for it to play. And here we go. Warren Zevon.
Thompson gun for hire, fighting to be done. The deal was made in Denmark on a dark and stormy day. So he set out for Biafra to join the bloody fray. Through 66 and 7, they fought the Congo War with their fingers on their triggers, knee deep in gore. Days and nights they battled the Bantu to their knees. They killed to earn their living and to help out the Congolese. Roland the Thompson Gunner, Roland the Thompson Gunner. His comrades fought beside him, Van Owen and the rest. But of all the Thompson Gunners, Roland was the best. So the CIA decided they wanted Roland dead. That son of a bitch Van Owen blew off Roland's head. Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, Norway's bravest sons of the score. They can still see his headless body stalking through the night in the muzzle flash of Roland's Thompson gun. In the muzzle flash of Roland's Thompson gun. Roland searched the continent for the man who done him in. He found him in Mombasa in a ballroom drinking gin. Roland aimed his Thompson gun, he didn't say a word, but he blew Van Owen's body from there to Johannesburg. Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner. Talking about the man, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner. The eternal Thompson Gunner, still wandering through the night. Now it's 10 years later, but it still keeps up the fight. In Ireland, in Lebanon, in Palestine, in Berkeley. Eddie Hurst heard the burst of Roland's Thompson gun and body.
Wait a minute. Ireland, Lebanon, Palestine and Berkeley. Now, you know what's funny? If you were to listen to, although Lebanon has been taken out of the formula, but for the hyper-leftists, the Palestinians are still mentioned, only tongue-in-cheek. They don't really support them. If they did, then they'd be valiantly helping to, fight their cause and provide them with food and tools and work and all kinds of stuff. So that's mostly BS. In reality, the left is run by the Jewish mob, and there's the same rhetoric and BS and criteria repeated over and over again. It's the same what's going on. You've got which Jewish faction running on the Trump side, which Jewish faction running on the fake Democrat side. They are both run by, the tentacles go back from the meat puppets to the same bump behind the curtain, and they're playing us. They think they're playing us. I'm not playing me, but they're playing a lot of people. Okay, and they're laughing their ass off about it because one way or another, the base goal does not change with any of these characters. The latest thing with Trump that we've been hearing is like these ring knockers and swamp creatures all infiltrated. They lie. Wait a minute, back up here. Every one of those swamp people is very, very, very well documented in the Patriot effort and with people independent who really have been kind of watching Washington for a long time. So we know who all the spit swamp and ring knockers are that are globalists, that are not really American. Trump hired a whole bunch of them. He also had the ability to fire them faster and sooner, and we still have a bunch of the turds sitting there. And, they've betrayed him. No, Trump got exactly what he hired and wanted because he was what he was told to by all the other Jewish mafia family members and everybody else around him that are the actual movers and shakers, and that's how it works. There's only one front dummy that's Christian, and maybe the wife, and even there, he's not. He's crypto in that he's got enough kosher mafia blood in the background that they'll laugh their ass off while they lie about that. Everybody else on the other side, they just flat out, they're in your face with regard to the Jewish mob, the kosher mafia stuff going on. So that's just a sidebar. Understand that's one of the factions, one of the elements, wicked, evil, nasty, backstabbing, front stabbing too. I mean, they just kind of, they lament until you're supposed to be so syruped by their lamentations that you just throw your hands up in the air and go, God, I am tired of this sickness. And you just let them get away with whatever they want. That's where we are right now with the country, okay? So, when we hit October, then there's going to be kind of like the great divide here. And the cops, they're already pushing, now that they've got the leftists doing more of their, militancy stuff that we kind of told you was coming no matter what. The bombings are next, and in fact, they've already started throwing better pyrotechnics and grenades and pipe bombs in Portland, which they're trying to downplay, as they are with everything. It's a peaceful protest while the pipe bomb rolls in amongst the people's feet that are standing there, and boom! Well, that's the kind of thing that we kind of warned you about, but there's going to be more of the let's say, sophisticated variants, Mossad operatives, working with Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and Kill All the White People, groups, and it's going to start to cascade. And the idea is you're supposed to surrender your freedom in the process, which we're not going to let happen. Go ahead, caller, jump in there. Who do we have?
Hey, this is Carl in Virginia. You might have covered it earlier because I came in late, but did you hear about the homeowner over in Kenosha, Wisconsin? They all of these protesters started getting out of their cars in a residential neighborhood, and somebody shot at them. The report said they fired a warning shot, and everybody said, "Oh, never mind," got back in their cars and left. Right. And then then another part of the city, a business owner opened fire, and they're like, "Oh, never mind. We'll just riot and loot somewhere else." So,
there's other places to break up. Yeah. Well, that's all. That's what's going to eventually have to happen. It's like we've said. It's not an if. It's just a when, and it already is happening. But they don't want people to realize this. The cops aren't going to do anything, or the cops are claiming for the massive police forces that all of these departments have, and the money that they've gotten from the Fed. Let's understand that yes, these police departments all burgeoned in the 90s with the Democrats/communists coming in. Hillary and Bill massively expanded for the sake of the police state and the international agenda, detention camps across the country, calling them level 1 prisons, which they are FEMA camps. They're all mapped out the same way. They're in every state of the union, barbed wire fences, and basically pole barns. And they built those all over the country, and they called them level 1 prisons, level 2 prisons, and in reality, they were part of the agenda, okay, the big agenda. And what's fascinating about this is now here they've got all this money. They were given gobs of money, most of which is stolen out the back door, and they're claiming they don't have enough manpower and they can't handle this, and they're not going to do it. Well, they don't want to handle it. Because, again, what happens? Well, what started out this thing in Wisconsin, somebody calls the cops because, Homie Fry is was shaking a knife all over the place, and everybody is like, well, call the cops. So the cops show up, and they can't win no matter what they do. Which, again, do you think I have any great love for the cops? I know better. But I understand the situation, the way it's being set up, so that one way or another they can continue to escalate and demand a bigger national police force and an international presence. And that's what we have to shoot out of this country now. We're going to have to stop this buck cold. But I have no confidence or trust the cops have been following. Seattle cops were following every order the communists gave them. Portland cops were following every order the communists gave them. Minneapolis, St. Paul is communist. The cops have been following every stinking order they've been giving them. Kenosha, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They're as leftist as the day is long. And guess what? The cops all followed the orders of the communists and were more than happy to do so. And if that included attacking and beating down patriots on the street or anybody they were told to attack that was a gun owner, they'd be more than happy to join in with the ATF and the FBI and other federal agencies to attack gun owners. So don't tell me how I have to bow. I go back to the blue. No, I don't, because they're not wearing blue anyway. They're wearing black uniforms. KGB, Interior Police, black uniforms. Communist black uniforms. And they've been performing as communist thugs for a very long time. So what they've done is, well, you got to pick between the commies that are in the government and the commies that are in the government that are on the street too, that are, well, wait a minute, they are both in the same, oh, wow, which is where we are right now. So the property owners, like you said, Carl, that's most likely what's going to happen, is eventually people are just going to be putting bullets down range with no conversation and no, another thing is you don't get up and tell them where you are. You just put, everybody just starts putting bullets on them, and they understand that, wow, we even might lose a few people, and nobody's going to come out and go, oh, well, I had to shoot you, but I'm going to help you. No, I'm going to shoot your ass and let you bleed. Now, if one of my people gets hurt or a friendly, yeah, they're going to get taken care of, but otherwise, I don't care about the ones that came, down the street in a vehicle. I don't care if it's the cops that do that or if it's Antifa that does that. What's the difference? The cops are going to be rolling up to confiscate the guns or redistribute your food because they want to steal your stuff because all these rat pigs and all these idiots went along with the dog muzzle crap and all the other stuff. Or, fill in the blank, take your pick, whichever it is. Antifa, we got to redistribute. They're all flapping the same BS. A bunch of non-producers and non-productive and sit on your dead ass and do nothing most of the time people are all demanding that all the rest of us who actually had the wherewithal to kind of do for ourselves, that we're now evil and bad. Well, that's communism. That's how it works. And the state communism from the police state side and the bureaucracy side is no different from the street thug. Isn't even on the other side. They're on the same side, which is what we all need to remember. These characters, you do not trust the police departments. You do not trust the cops. You do not trust the feds. Well, I got pinched. I couldn't go out there. I got pinched because you called the feds. Well, that's what happens when you call the feds or the cops or tied in with the cops. The moment you have a cop around, you know what? Most people, let's be honest, guys, if you're looking at a rear view mirror and you see a cop, do you think that cop is there for your benefit, or do you just, oh my shoot, I hope he's not bothering me? You know that the later of the two is the truth. When you see a cop, you know that cop is not there for you.
Yeah, Mark.
Am I right or am I wrong?
If you were to ask a police officer for directions or something, they're going to be, watch where their eyes go. They're going to be looking in your vehicle, looking for anything that, contraband, whatever. They're going to look at your inspection sticker. They're going to look at your registration sticker. Yeah, they're more interested in writing you up for something than helping you.
Yep.
They're conducting an investigation.
Yep, exactly. And the thing is that, again, I'm not going out of my way. Okay, if somebody's hurt there, they might get more assistance than if there's a car accident or something like that. In fact, we've used to have a lot of car accidents. You got to watch that, and I always have, because setting you up for, with an incident, okay, and we're at the top, so we could open up a can of worms in a minute here, but I do want to talk about this because we just had the anniversary of the Weaver, the attack at on Ruby Ridge. Technically, we're like into what, the third, fourth day of the siege? Everybody knows that, right? This would be like if this was the beginning of the cycle, the big cycle that brought us to the edge of war in the 90s. It was the Weaver attack, okay? But the Weaver attack, I want to touch on a few things and remind you of some stuff here because it's what I always watch for. If I felt that somebody was finally trying to set me up, I might decide to bring the rest of my people in, and I'll let them try to set something up. And then when they do whatever they think they're going to do, you wipe their ass out. But you'll give them a chance to do their dirty deed, but you get them all. That's the policy now. I mean, there's no going with them. I'm too old anyway.
Loose pinatas.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Hold still. Hold my bullets for me. Wait a minute. No, I think I've got something shorter and quieter. There we go. Anyway, guys, we're going to hear the music because we are past the top, and we have to go to break for a minute. We can come back, and we're going to jump right into the subject they just kind of opened the can of worms on, and it has to do with thinking ahead by looking at past experience. You gain from past experience. Learn from the mistake of others. You won't live long enough to make them all yourself. Anyway, God bless our republic.
Death to the New World Order.
We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The empire's on the run.
We're on the march both day and night.
Hoorah. Kicking them butts, beat them down hard, don't let them get back up. Doesn't make any difference which it is. If they're wearing a black uniform, they're probably not with you. And if they are wearing a black uniform or they're with you, slap them side the head and tell them, get some clothes on. You don't wear black if you're on the Patriot side. You're just doing nothing but creating confusion. We'll be back on that subject and more. It's Communications Tuesday on Libertytreeradio.
Yes, we are the sons of liberty. Save it from the storm, boys. Water down its roots with tea. And the sun will always shine on the old Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. March along with the piper, boys. We were born forever free. Let's go pay the piper, boys. Beneath the Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons, the sons.
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MaineMilitary.com carries everything you need. Gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MaineMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MaineMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need, all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at MaineMilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
Join Mark and Todd for Weapons Wednesday, where you'll learn how to use everything from your bare hands to your average AR-15.
The 12-gauge autoloader.
Sure.
The 45 long slide.
Yep.
With laser sighting.
You betcha.
The Uzi 9mm.
Yes, sir.
Phased plasma rifle in a 40-watt range.
What are you, crazy?
Wrong.
Okay, they'll talk about that too. So whatever question you have about whatever weapon you have, call Mark and Don on Weapons Wednesday. And remember, your mind is your first best weapon.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we'd hoped you to always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun. Permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent. Although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate. And your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear, be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you. God bless this republic.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second hour of the afternoon intelligence report. I'm Mark Kornke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, northwest, southeast, east, and northeast. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, Liberty Tree Radio on YouTube, live stream, and we are on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and Ultranet, Hallmark, and Golden Spike technologies, east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. It is Communications Tuesday. It is the 25th of August. It is the 12th year of open Fabian socialist and Soviet socialist occupation of America with a K. 2020 Old Earth calendar. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. 2020 year of conflict, the Dance of Swords. At some point, escalation will proceed. We're heading towards, again, the bottom of the boat being ripped out. And then, one way or another, I tell you what, we got shipwreck November. But before that happens, we may see some pretty decent exchanges on a larger scale. Again, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, too. But before we go any farther, a couple things here real quick. And I got to mention this because, guys, I'm surprised this stuff is still sitting here. If you have a 300 Win mag, 7mm Remington mag, 338 Win, 338 Winchester. That's one of the older. Now you got 338 Lapua. You know what the difference is? They reinvented a cartridge, so to speak, because the 338 bullets were all over the place from the 338 Winchester. So now we have 338 Lapua. Big deal, okay? It's just another era, different shape case, still the same kind of performance. Somebody wanted to make it new so you'd think it was different, when in reality it's just the same wheel being retreaded, okay? There's a bunch of big calibers out there. They're all great. They're good. They're good for what they were intended, Cape Bull Elephant, or cutting a person in two at really extreme ranges and making sure lots and lots of energy is delivered, and that's a good thing. Okay, now, real quick, grab a pen and paper. If you haven't done this yet, maybe you didn't know or didn't hear what I said, over at AIM Surplus, they have Preview Partisan PPU 7mm Remington Magnum, 174 grain PSP, 20 rounds per box, $17. It's $16.95. Throw the nickel in there, it's $17. But they have it in stock. And it's the cheapest 7mm Remington mag in the country. My God, if you have a 7mm mag, buy this stuff now. Let me give you a little hint. I need more, and I don't have one. Not anything here, but it's one of those things where $16.95 for 7mm Remington belted Magnum. Guys, that's the best price in the country, period. But not only that, they have it. AIMSurplus.com, AIMSurplus.com, AIMSurplus.com. Maybe you didn't notice it. Maybe you're looking for it. Maybe you know somebody who's got a 7mm Remington Magnum, a 7mm Remington Magnum. 174 grain PSP. Remember, you want to reload this stuff. But you need brass. This is the cheapest ammunition you're going to get in a big bore, beat your butt caliber that's going to put a fist-sized hole through somebody. Okay? It's the kind of thing you want for what we're going into. So if you have a 7mm Remington mag, you want 50 caliber cans. You know, you don't have to dump all the ammo into the can. Leave it in the 20 round boxes. Now that's a commercial load, but guys, you're paying for a 300. For a 7mm Remington mag, you're paying basically what people are paying for 5.56 ammo right now. So guess what I would be carrying first, or what I'd be putting first into service? This big butt, long case, belted Magnum that's designed to knock things down out to 1,000 yards comfortably. Okay? A lot of guys use 7mm for mule deer across the ridges. Of course, they also use 270. But this is an excellent price, and I'm surprised the stuff is still sitting there. They must have got a pile of it, or somebody doesn't know it's there. And AIM doesn't have much ammo. You're going to see that when you get over there. But it's over at AIM, A-I-M, surplus.com, AIMSurplus.com. Preview Partisan, PPU, 7mm Magnum, 174 grain, PSP, 20 rounds to a box. The item number is AP7MAG174. That's AP7MAG174. And it's $16.95 a box. You cannot beat that. That is the best price in the country, and they have it in stock. And not everybody has any 7mm Remington mag. Now, they don't have much else there, but I will point out what I've said several times. 32 ACP is everywhere. It's weird. This time around, 380 is gone. I mean, you find it and catch it. But 32 ACP for $14.95 for ball ammo, I'd buy that. And Korean 30 caliber carbine, which is just as good as any of the American ammo that's out there in 30 carbine. In fact, this is fresher. because the military stuff is going to be Vietnam or older. So Korean surplus, 30 caliber carbine, 110 grain FMJ, $45.95 a bandolier, or you can get a can of it, a whole case of it if you want. It's out there. Everybody's got it. So those two calibers are quite readily available. Is it your first choice? No, but if you got a 32 pistol, I'd be buying the hell out of that ammo right now. If you got a 32 ACP pistol of any kind, you want to grab all of it you can. Why? It's available until it's gone. And it's cheap, $14.95 for a box of 50. Pretty reasonable price for a pistol round right now. And I would not get the hollow point, I get the ball round. Why? Reliability. Reliability is more important than occasional expansion. And what I mean by occasional is if you have a problem, if your gun has a problem feeding a certain round, hollow points are notorious for that. Soft points are the next ones that are iffy. Ball rounds work every time, and getting 7 good solid, face or crotch hits with a 32 is much better than a fire at a jam, or fire jam, or fire and not quite feed, or fire and failure to leave the magazine, locking up the weapon because the round goes forward and the lead or the hollow point hangs up on something. It can happen. It's more likely. That's why I'm not excited about anything other than ball ammo for field operations, because I want absolute, no problem, 0 point standard reliability. Now, another thing, real quick here, and again, the two most important as far as I'm concerned, 7mm Remington Magnum PPU, $16.95, and they also have right next to it Preview Partisan PPU, 25-06. Have you got a 25-06? $14.95 a box, PPU, Boxer Prime, non-corrosive, heat annealed, and as good a price as anywhere else in the country, but they have it. So those two are available, and those are good, hot splitters. Those are going to put big, mean holes, vicious holes in the target you choose that's a biped, okay, which is a good idea. Anyway, aimsurplus.com, aimsurplus.com, aimsurplus.com. Got that touched? Now we'll go on to the things. I'm going to play this real quick, because Carl, if you're there, this is, I think, what you were talking about. Gun down! Homeowner with long-range rifle shoots at Black Lives Matter protesters during march to D.C., injuring one. Now, okay, long-range rifle, but it's in the dark. They're in a residential area. Homie Fry and the knuckle draggers all decide they're going to go out and start making noise. Everybody's seen what's happening around the country. Nobody trusts any of their asses for any reason whatsoever, and you shouldn't either. Besides, they lie. In fact, communists lie by nature because you're supposed to be the gullible type, and then they can do whatever they want to you as they beat you to death or knife you to death or, play helter-skelter / that special guy, Chucky Manson. They've all become the Chucky Manson types. Or they're, the Chucky Manson followers. So that's how you have to look at them. Well, you decide to start plugging away. Personally, again, I kind of keep the backlighting down. Remember, knock down your backlighting, illuminate the battlefield target area. That's what you need to be doing. But I'm going to play the audio track here. It's, how long is it? 1 minute, 54 seconds. Most of it's confusion, which is why it's not really critical. But we'll pop it up here because the small arms fire is touched on almost immediately. Here, hold on here. Let's get this right. Oh, come on. Of course, the piece of... And let's get back there to 0. There we go. Okay, here we go.
Oh, my God. Who is that? Hey.
Y'all get back to the cars. Y'all get in the cars. Go, Sandy, go. Go. Go that way, Sandy. See you over here with the gun. This dude shooting at us.
Give me here.
Get in the cars. Get in the cars.
Shit, y'all, get in. Hurry up.
Y'all get in the car. Get out of here. Hold on.
Look, they shooting at us, bro. Hell yeah, watch out.
It's right off. Ain't no room, Mike.
Hey, no, get him in the fucking car. Mike, get in the car, bro. What the fuck am I doing, man?
Nobody's behind you. Back up. And whip his dick.
Oh my God.
All right, enough of that. I would like to point out something here. Oh, come on. God, I hate this stuff. I would point out something about this, too. If you were listening to the small arms fire, which was actually a high-powered rifle, might have been a lever action, could have been a bolt gun, whatever he's using. He didn't spray and pray. He was putting thud on target. And that's something I would point out. Did you hear the vehicle hit? Good, solid vehicle hit. Now, guys, you don't get to... This is where a lot of you have never been around stuff like this. And I'm going to ask you to go watch videos, any of these videos like these. This one is, by the way, at www.the-sun.com. Homeowner with long-range rifle shoots at Black Lives Matter protesters. Well, why would I have any confidence in anybody coming out in the middle of nowhere at night, piling out of a car to come piss around in my neighborhood? What would you expect to be going on? Well, I don't know. Look at Wisconsin. Oh, I don't know. Look at Minnesota. Oh, I don't know. Look at Atlanta. Oh, I don't know. Look at Seattle. Oh, I don't know. Look at Portland. Oh, I don't know. Look at New York. Oh, I don't know. Look at Baltimore. Oh, wow. This list keeps going on and on and on. So why would anybody, why is it they're thinking that, well, you just don't understand. And, of course, well, he's white. Well, there's another interesting thing. Are the blacks just letting it slide because they figure, well, you're not going to mess with me because I'm black? Well, that didn't help the black, store owner that got shot in St. Louis. Of course, he got killed because he was defending his, homestead. There's a bunch of those. But the bottom line is nobody trusts any of them because they're two-faced. Period. They're two-faced. Now, the only difference I would say is, guys, don't just waddle out there because, remember, tit for tat, your enemy is armed. Your enemy has some weapons, and eventually government's going to give them more. The Jews are going to give them more. The Israelis are going to give them more. They're going to be pumping stuff in here more than they already are. The government was sending guns. Okay, let's back up here for a minute. When I said that, everybody goes, oh, this government wouldn't do that. This government under Bush and under Obama sent guns where that they took out of property rooms all across the United States, taken from you and me. They took guns out of ATF and FBI and federal marshal holding rooms. They took guns from police departments where they were in cooperation with the Fed. And where did they put those guns? What did they do with them? They shipped them, they transported them down to Mexico and gave them to who?
Hey, Mark, pick me. To the
cartels. To the cartels. So when everybody goes, oh, they're not doing that. Really? They've already done it. And they did it a lot, not a little. And then with their propaganda, well, we're finding that these guns are from America. These guns are from... This is why we need to ban guns in America, because Mexican cartel are getting guns from the bat faggots and the FBI and the Mossad and from foreigners who are picking up weapons right out of police property rooms. Here's the part that they proved. They traced them back to being picked up, and they were under the custody of police departments or the ATF or the FBI.
Hey, Mark.
They proved that. Remember? Am I jogging everybody's memory? So when somebody rides up in your neighborhood like this, that guy, what he did, you're going to see a lot more of this. And eventually what you're going to see is an exchange. So you've got to be thinking, if you're going to move, you don't backlight yourself. You shut down the inner lights in your house. You minimize. You expand on your external perimeter lighting. And that way, when you do start shooting somebody, they have no place to hide because you fill in the shadows. Go ahead. I think we got Phyllis. Jump in there, please.
Yeah, you do. You have There's a couple things. First, didn't we have 2 border agents that got shot and killed by those things?
Yeah, and then they stopped reporting it, kind of like anything else. It's like the USS Liberty. Once people started dying and everybody started to figure out where the guns were coming from, well, then they had to redirect everybody's brains somewhere else. Exactly.
The other thing.
Go ahead.
And the other thing too, we have the cartel working in the United States. They've come into small communities and they're doing their little drug thing. They move people in, and they have them around here. In Ohio, and I'm sure other places. I'm sure it's all over the country, but it seems like one of the hot spots is Ohio. They have kidnapping rings. They're kidnapping people, women and children, and they're kidnapping some of the Amish as well. And there was an Amish lady in a Walmart that was being followed by some fella all over the Walmart, and she went up to the clerk when she was checking out, and she said, "There's a guy in here, and he's been following me all over." So the clerk made sure they called the police. They locked the place down. They caught the guy. The guy already had her sold, and they were waiting to grab her.
Already had marketed. It would already been marketed.
Yeah.
Well, and this is where, again, Phyllis, I've said this to everybody, and I've been repeating it every day, and everybody I talk to. I say, if you think that you are immune because you are in a small area, a community, Antifa tried to come in and paint one of the buildings downtown, tried to graffiti one of the towns, and it was inane because one of the other business owners caught him, called the police. They rolled the guy up. But that could just easily be somebody coming in to stab, beat to death, or shoot, Whitey / anybody. They don't care. And this is the part that a lot of people aren't wrapping their brain around very well at all. That the only person that's going to be responsible for your safety are you and your people. And you better be taking care of each other. But also, if anything happens, I will repeat again, Phyllis, same thing. You are better off screaming and fighting to the death right there, because otherwise you have no idea what these creatures have sold you for. Who says they're going to keep, they wanted you? They just want a breathing body for a couple days worth of torture and sadism. You got to understand, you're dealing with monsters that need to be purged from this country, and we're going to have to this is going to become a major conflagration once this escalates. And there's not going to be any trials. There won't. I've argued that we do need to find out where people are and whatever, but I know what's going to happen. People are going to discover and find things that they're just going to be totally stunned by, and their response will be to just turn and blow the person's brains out. And then you'll have people, look, okay, Phyllis, do you remember, you're old enough to remember Vietnam. Of course, at the very least, you've seen all the movies and stuff about Vietnam and the documentaries, right? Okay.
Oh, I have actually, yes. I lived through Vietnam.
Okay. Now, I'm going to remind you of one. Remember when the Tet Offensive took place? And, of course, all the anti-war people were blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. And they had this scene where there was a South Vietnamese general. It was the outskirts of Saigon. But it was over in the Central District. And the guy is tired, and he's been talking to somebody else. And you see him bring this character up who, oh, look, they got a prisoner. Oh, that poor guy. And they walk him up to this general. There's a conversation back and forth, and the guy says something to him, and then he just pulls out that airweight 38 special, puts the barrel right to his head, and blows his brains out. Does anybody know what that guy was caught doing? Everybody goes, oh, my God, did you see, this is why we don't need to be in Vietnam. Well, okay, understand, the Tet is like Christmas for Vietnam, actually for Asia, for not just Vietnam. It depends on which group or faction you're with. But the Tet in Vietnam was like nobody touches anybody. It's hands-off day. It's like everybody talks about like 1914 with Christmas on the Western Front, where everybody went out and played soccer, and everybody was Christmas, and everybody sang Christmas carols and blah blah blah. Same with Vietnam. So when the Tet Offensive took place, it was first of all a complete violation of the trust and the agreement of all parties. But that's because, like I've said earlier, communists lie, and that is your biggest mistake. Communists lie. Oh no, it's the Christians that lie. It's the no. Communists don't believe that there's any God. Ergo, that anything goes. Anything is possible. And if you can use any other instrument to accomplish your end goal, then it's fine. So when that guy, what that guy had been doing is he went into neighborhoods and they were killing as many women and kids, torturing to death, rape them to death. Of course, they were moving fast, so they had to kill a lot, and I guess they were raping quick. But this guy had been caught as one of the death squads that had been sent in to kill as many women and kids as possible. And the general had been up for a couple hours marshaling the forces, and again looked at the character and said, "Oh, I don't need to talk to him." Boom! I'll settle it for you right there. The soldiers brought him to the guy, brought him to the OIC officer in charge, the big kahuna, and the guy just looked at him and he said, "I do not want to deal with this, and that is a monster." Boom! And of course, well, however they spun it with whatever you see and whatever variation you watch on, the evils of Vietnam, etc. Well, this is something you're going to see personally here pretty soon. You're going to open up a door and you're going to find a little girl slaughtered. We had this couple a few years ago that were raped. They were literally, the guy and the gal were raped. They were on a date. They know when they were picked up. It was a whole gang of blacks. They were all high as a kite, doped up on top of everything else, and they did everything and anything that you can imagine in the way of wicked to both of them. Horrible for a couple of days they did this. They killed the guy first, and they dumped his body out in the parking lot, and then they were still working on killing her by inches. And they poured lye. By the time they were done, they realized that she was a walking crime lab. So they poured lye down her throat while she was still alive. They did everything you could imagine to try and damage her, and then they chopped her up into 7 chunks, put her into garbage bags, and had her out in the trash in galvanized garbage barrels when the cops figured out where she probably was and where the guy had come from and what had happened. Now, you walk into something like that in this war coming up, what do you think is going to be the response by people, and especially if there's family members there, because you're looking for someone's daughter or you're looking for one's wife or for a whole bunch of them? What do you think those family members are going to do?
For people that have already made the decision ahead of time, there won't be time to even worry about thinking about it.
It's just like you saw with that guy in Vietnam. Like I said, with that general, he looked at him and he pulled that air weight out so fast he didn't have time to think about it. And he, bow, and then you see the blood going bloop, bloop, bloop out of the guy's beaner, and it's like, that's how fast it's going to be. Now, if your enemy is lucky, that'll happen. But here's the other problem: some people are going to find children, babies. I mean, you're talking occultists, and you're talking crazy town. To kill all the white people, black types, they're doing the Mau Mau thing. If you do not understand what's going on, you have been soft candied on history for a very long time. Now, if you really know what happened with the Belgian Congo and how they're even twisting that now to make they fought the Congo, the Congolese. Yeah, well, they did. But remember, we mentioned many times about Katanga. Katanga was totally separate from what was going on in the rest of the Congo. But it was the treasure zone. It's like Kosovo in Serbia, with the pigs and all the garbage that the Jewish mob did there. Well, the Jewish mob did the same thing with Katanga, which was separate from the rest of the Congo. And so the ring knockers all went in there to attack a country, basically a sub-country of the Congo, that had adopted the Bill of Rights and the Constitution of the United States as its model. And the last thing they could have is for something like that to exist when they were going to rape, kill, pillage, and burn their way across the rest of Africa during that window, with the final goal being the destruction of the white population of South Africa and the destruction of Rhodesia. But first they had to go through the black countries and frag them, which is what they did. So the Mau Mau it's just imagine anything and everything that wicked or evil that you could imagine doing to a person and keeping them alive, they did. That's what these creatures you've got in the inner cities are like, given the opportunity. That's what you're going to see the rest of these characters pull. And that's why if you want to save your lives, if you wish to save your society, you better get your ass ready to fight. This is not going to get better. In fact, there is no relief on the horizon, but then there shouldn't be. You let it go too far. we're finished. As far as I'm concerned, every day all I'm doing is preparing for war. I have too many things, there are irons in the fire, lots of stuff from dotting the I, crossing the T's. Then I get more wealth. That's what really bothers me. What I call wealth, tools, machinery, equipment, because every tool that we have is another tool that can help us to fight, for the war effort that we're going to be in. You people better be thinking deep, you better be thinking long, and you better be serious about saving your lives. I've said this many times now for months. You are in the ultimate competition now. And you ignore your enemy and their derision of you. You ignore any comments they make. There's no talking to a backed up, stinking leftist toilet. There's no debate. There's nothing you're going to do. Don't have a conversation with them. Just look at how am I going to kill it. That's what everybody needs to be doing. Well, no, we need to. There is no relation. There is no coming together. Listen to these people. It's like, you know what they are like? Let me point something out. This is not an attack. This is not an attack. This is not. What was that from? The federal government driving tanks through the walls of Waco on the last day. This is not an attack. This is not an attack.
You're not resist.
Yeah, peaceful protest. Peaceful protest. Do you see the parallel here? Does everybody understand that these jackasses figure they're going to do the slower molasses kill you? And whoever gets to the post first on this and figures that, they better get their act together, the other side is already in motion. They figure you're going to be so stupid you'll be like a bunch of stinking cows to the slaughter. That's really how they think, and to a degree it's true. You look at some of the people out there. I sit in front of stores nowadays and watch, and you got people that are talking all about how you got to wear a mask because you got to stay clean and you got to stay safe. And every day when I watch, day after day, these people are carrying these throwaway masks, and they are getting grubby and they're dirty. They're pulling out like back pockets. They got them stuffed here and there, and even the frothing at the mouth ones that are wearing the special designer masks. Where do they carry them? They got them stuffed someplace. They got them stay, and again they pull them out of their pockets. Oh, they shake off the lint and the dust and the boogers, and then they put them on. That's how asinine these people are. And then telling you about, you're going to get the grunt. No, I'm probably going to be a lot healthier than you are. I would say about tenfold. This war we're fighting is against stupidity. And trust me, there is an army of stupid out there. And it's time that we not let them go any farther than they already have. In fact, we need to have stopped. We should have stopped them sooner. We should have shot their ass a lot sooner, and they wouldn't get this far. They wouldn't have gotten as far as they have. But now we have to get rid of this. Okay? So, anyway, I can't just keep emphasizing that. That's great. But here's the thing. We need to remember basic rules. How did they pick up Randy Weaver when they first grabbed him? Does everybody know? Does anybody remember? No. I'm just jogging your memory because I'm going to map you through it.
Okay. At a bar, Mark?
Nope. Here's what they did. Randy Weaver lived out in the middle of nowhere, guys.
They got him when he was going to town, wasn't it?
No, well, close. He was coming back from town. Okay. Good point. Okay, here's what they did. They knew that he was like all the people out west. Everybody's helpful. Aren't you helpful, Tom? You're helpful, right? Phyllis.
Oh yeah.
You're helpful, right? If somebody's in need, you're helpful, right? Dar, You're helpful. Carl, you're helpful. I want you to think about this now. And so what they did is, first of all, they fabricated the BS about him cutting down the shotgun. And by the way, that was, in and of itself, there's a bunch of dirty stuff that went on with that where they lied. It turns out they lied. But what a surprise. We would never have expected that. No, wait a minute, no, we've told you for years. These skank cops and these skank feds, how can you tell when they're lying? It's when their mouth's moving, okay? But here's what they did. They set up a camper, okay? Now, you got to remember, you can't get there from here. He's out in the middle of nowhere, and there's this really, you might recall there's a bridge. And, man, it was a bridge built like a brick doghouse. It was a 2-lane bridge, like it was built for a paved road in the, a regular rural area. But that bridge, before it, there's a road, okay? So what they did is they pulled a camper off to the side. Now, there's nobody hardly living out there where the Weavers did in the first place. and this was beyond all the other houses. They pulled this truck with a camper on the back, one of those with the overhead, goes over the top, slides into the back of the truck. They had the cops in the back, the feds in the back, and they had the lid open, and of course they're acting like they got a problem with the car, with the truck. So Weaver stops, and he, gets out, hey, what's going on? And of course, first I'm sure they stopped, and they had the conversation through the window. Well, I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, hold on. Let me see if I can help. And he got out of the car. They piled out of the camper and jumped him. See how that works? Because you're helpful. Now, me, nowadays, see my pickup truck or my Suburban or my heavy truck would be pulled right up to the back door of that camper. I'd make sure it couldn't get open. And then, nowadays, the assistants or the escorts would be keeping an eye on the vehicle, and anything tries to move or make a fast move or whatever, I'd lace that son of a bitch from one side to the other. But they wouldn't get out of the camper. Okay? Just something to think about there.
Yeah, I'm so helpful. I had the cops threaten to arrest me.
Okay, for...
Because I let some young kid stay with me, and this was last year, and he decided, I didn't realize he had a mental problem anyways. He freaked out and pulled a knife on my nephew and some of his friends. And instead of following my instinct, I would listen to people and called the cops. The cops came, told me there wasn't nothing they could do, and they thought they ironed it out. And we all told them that we wanted him out because I don't think he wouldn't. Well, the cop turned and looked at me and said, "I'm holding you responsible. If anything happens to him and I come back out, I'm arresting you." And I looked at him, I'm like, "Arresting me for what?" He goes, "Because it's your house, you're in charge, and I'm holding you
Okay, well, wait a minute. Didn't you ask to take him with you? That's all you had to do. That settles the argument. Congratulations, he's yours.
The cops said they couldn't take him. I argued with the cops.
Well, wait a minute. He qualified. Now, let's stop there. He qualified that you're the owner of the property, right? Did you say that? Well, congratulations. Since you're the custodian of the property, hi, thank you. You just verified that? Well, as the custodian of the property, I want his ass off my property now. Your job, I'm giving you the ability to do it. Just do that. That settles it right there.
But then he did. But
I'm sure he did, because they don't want to have to. Of course, he'd have to take the bugger somewhere. He'd end up with a monkey on his back.
And every time people tell me to back the blue, I'm like, hell no, I ain't backing the blue. Nope. No, hell.
Well, you also don't bring the baboons in that cause problems like that, right?
Well, I didn't realize he was going to cause problems. I didn't know he had mental problems.
He should have been taken down the road and delivered somewhere, right?
Take him on the back 40.
No, he has someplace to go. Take and deliver him to where he needs to go. Where does he live?
He didn't. He was staying with me for a while.
Okay, well, that's a different story from just staying for the night. Okay, that's a very different situation.
No, I said he was staying with me for a little bit, not the night. He was staying with me for a little bit. And the thing is, he never paid rent, never had mail coming here, and the cops said that there was nothing they could do to get him out.
Well, yeah, that's because, again, like we've said, you need to pay attention and kind of vet the problem, but you don't need somebody in the camp, which is kind of like what we're addressing here about some of the things to watch out for, why you need to screen people a little better. Another thing real quick, and again, since we're on the subject of other activities, especially with what we've got going right now, it is inevitable that we have there's some kind of, well, let's map this out. Here's what's going to happen. This incident right here, okay, you Bangus, Knuckle Dragus / Black Lives Matter and yours don't, show up in an area. People respond. The cops, as I warned you, a big chunk of them, especially state police, cannot be trusted. feds, absolutely do not trust them at all. They are worthless. They're working for the globalists, and pretty much the lodge or the synagogue, one or the other, and they're both with the same group anyway. Okay, for all with that combination. But something's going to start to escalate, and as likely as not, what's going to happen? The Ubangus, Knuckle Dragus, Black Lives Matter, Kill All the White People crew are going to be pushed back, and the cops are going to show up. Well, the Black Lives Matter, Ubangus, Knuckle Dragus crew is being supported by the globalists. And so guess who's going to be attacked when the time comes? And I've told you again, there's 5 different splits I'm not talking police levels. I'm talking different power factions in the country that are vying for power right now. Some of them, like our side, is simply wanting to keep what we have. We're not going to surrender our rights. We are not going to destroy or let them burn the Bill of Rights. And because of this, what's going to happen is someone's going to dig a heel in. So one of the things to watch for and be ready for is the cops are going to turn on the white people. They are going to turn on the property owner. Even if there was a black person there and a Hispanic person there and maybe 2 Asian people there and 25 white people, the only thing that's going to be mentioned are the white people. And you are going to be attacked, and the cops would do that because they figure you'll let them do it. Why? Because a lot of the idiots that might be standing around you have got one of those stupid black and white American flags with that funny blue stripe through it. Oh, these are saps. We can do anything we want with them, and the cops will. Does everybody understand that? Now, I'm warning you in advance. It's like the pipe bomb thing going to the bombing thing. And again, in this case with this shooting incident, well, where exactly were they? They were in Pennsylvania, and they were in a Pennsylvania town. They weren't in a city. So they're out in the middle of nowhere. People have already heard in Black Lives Matter and the Kill All the White People militia and all the rest of these, Antifa types have said they're coming to the burbs, they're coming to the suburbs, they're going to do to you what they did to the city. And it's like, no, I don't think so. I suggest you leave. And this is where, again, this is all the cook-off points. And contrary to what you might think, a nice, neat scenario, militia come in, whatever. No, the first part of why the militia will have to come in is because of something like this developing. And as I've said a million times, it's going to be the militia responding. They're going to make contact with the next column coming out that's going to be buzzing out there to beat on the property white American owners. They'll be white, even if they were black. If it was a black guy that was defending himself, by the time the report will be done, it was an evil, racist white guy. It's like the black guy they were trying to grab him out of the car, and he shot, remember the gut shot, the one. And it was like, it was a white guy, it was a white. And then when you see the picture eventually, it's like, oh no, it's a black guy with a little mini afro. But it was an evil, white, supremacist, racist, blah, 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 blah. And for people who are idiot sticks who didn't do anything to follow up anything, they kept mouthing, and especially if they're leftists, they'll just keep parroting and mouthing the lie generated by the media. And the cops will go along with the lie generated by the media. This confidence game is done. That's the only thing I can't emphasize this enough. Pay attention to your surroundings. And don't forget, there's other factions that will monkey poke just as quickly as the Kill All the White People crew as far as the blacks go. In fact, you've got the Antifa Communist Fruit Loop racially challenged / get rid of all the white people. And it's all white people that are screaming that, okay? You've got retards in front of you. Like I said, you're in competition with Fruit Loops and retards. And you had better be ready to save yourself, because it is going to get bad real fast. And you've already seen it. So again, the one thing about this video that I can't emphasize enough, and you notice I'm not being very nice when it comes to even comments about this. Why? Well, because ain't nothing it doesn't make any difference what I would say or what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be doing it right, because the controlled press, the feds, and their Antifa and Black Lives Matter and other communist buddies are going to lie about whatever I say anyway. And so, you got to be real careful. No, I'm not going to be careful at all, just the reverse. I'm telling you right now, we're at the end. We're at the end. We're at the end. We're at the end. Don't lament about it. What are you going to do about it? Are you in the competition for life? Because that's what this is. Now, we got to get better at what we do across the board. You better be tightening everything up, because this is going to get to be a very, very interesting contest. One of the things, everything is a weapon, as I mentioned a million times. In the Weaver situation, the only thing he could have done probably to defend himself when he originally got picked up is not stop. Okay, I know that's tough, but here's how it works. And by the way, there are female bat faggots. However, I would point something out. It's amazing how most of them are blonde. So if I got somebody I've never seen and there's some quote-unquote petite blonde, because they're trying to make it seem like you got, female. Oh, there's a female. That means nothing. You've got just as many females promoted simply because they're females, because they need to have so many hired, just like they have to have so many blacks, or any other minority, and now queers and everything else are qualified in that. So you've got every poof to palace type of creature out there that you can imagine in the ranks of the, let's say, the washed, the special, the fed. So rule number one, how about not stop? There's an idea. But if you do, be ready with follow-up, because it's going to get real exciting real fast. Now, when Hutari was attacked at what was supposed to be the wake, they used a warehouse on the south side of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Now, that particular location we know had been used more than once by the city or by the security group there with University of Michigan, all kinds of other garbage, always tied into the Fed. Okay. We eventually tracked all that down. We have mapped that out day by day, year by year. When they came in, and again, everybody just kind of let it ride, there was a stairway that was up the side of the building. This was actually a fairly rectangular-shaped building. There was a stairway that led up to a loft. The stairway had been sawn off 3/4 of the way up the stairs. It was done with, standard 2x6s with risers. That should have been a flare, and it was. Everybody's like, that's strange. Now, here's what's cute. There were 2 rooms on the other end of the rectangular large chamber, which is where they were having the get-together. Those rooms are where the feds were, just kind of like that camper thing. They had a barbecue there. They had a propane barbecue. If I kind of suspected something, little way to kind of neutralize at least anybody inside a building, disconnect that 25 or 15-pound pig, open up the propane valve there, and let it fill up the room with some propane. Anybody want to pull the trigger or fire a weapon from that point forward, it's kind of like the doomsday machine. You know what I mean? It's like everybody gets it. So that kind of neutralizes Buffy and Biff and the rest of the tribe that were inside the building in the little rooms in the back, okay? Which, by the way, they had no place to escape to. There was no way for them to get out. So it would have been optimal if you wanted to neutralize a percentage of the force that you had on the ground. Now, externally, better physical security. Again, everybody, this was a funeral. It was supposed to be a wake for a person that's supposed to have died, who was supposed to be, again, a member of the group, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a lot of other stuff played here in the process. But, again, a reminder, things to look for. Pay attention to your environment. Again, everybody was in a different frame of mind. Part of this was because they were concerned for, again, what happened to the individual. By the way it sounded, was a very, bad death situation, et cetera, et cetera. But remember, the enemy plays that game, kind of like that camper along the road with the Weavers. Now, personally, we get later in the game, somebody wouldn't even hesitate, just lace everything. Lace the camper, kill the people who are trying to lure you in. They'd all die right there. And then immediately before you even did that, you'd be looking for the people who are off to the side of the road that you weren't supposed to know about. I will remind you, it's like going to a checkpoint. If you're going to wipe out a checkpoint, the first thing you do is kill the perimeter security left and right you're not looking at, that's not in the light, that's in the darkness. If you're going to wipe out a checkpoint, you want to take the overwatch areas out first, take care of and eliminate, or at the same time, the sharpshooters or belt-fed gun that was supposed to overwatch from the darkness and mow you down, the way I just described them being dealt with if they were out there in that camper in this day and age down the road. In other words, they think they're going to do the same thing to you. By the way, it's the same thing that the Israelis taught them to do when they were murdering all the people trying to escape in Iraq. Little heads up on that when you're not supposed to know about that bloodbath, okay? But they killed women, kids, and whole families. And the Israelis said, of course, well, there's going to be car bombs. There were no car bombs. That's a lie. But by doing that, they were able to slaughter women, kids, machine gun cars, the whole 9 yards. That was your troops that did that. And they can try to lie about it, but there's more than enough documentation on it, real solid imagery and video documentation of it. So, again, just a heads up here, tit for tat. It works both ways. But if this escalates, all bets are off, and everybody's in basically bite the bullet mode. And that's where everybody needs to be. So, again, organize, arm, equip, and train as militia. Master the trade. You need to immerse yourself. Don't be watching foo-foo stuff. You can have some fun on occasion. I do. If I'm going to benchmark when I'm watching stuff on video, yeah, watch a subject. Take a look. As many. For instance, light artillery, indirect fire weapons, manufacturing, whatever you're going to do. Watch a subject, then watch basically an entertainment video of some kind for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes. It could be a song or whatever. What does that do? Well, mentally, this is part of the training and conditioning when you're trying to segment and compartmentalize data. What happens is it's kind of like a space on a record. It gives your brain a chance to reset. When you go to the next subject, you then initiate a battery of videos and or audios, whatever you're doing there. And then when you get to the end of as much of that as you wish to absorb, pick an entertainment piece of music, whatever you want to do, or a little entertainment video, sci-fi piece, whatever, or whatever's out there that YouTube has in the way of junk, and then go to the next subject. That's the space between the songs. And mentally, it will help you in your discipline towards absorption of information. Try it. These are many, many little things that you need to learn, or actually, again, there's so much stuff that you take for granted, but it's the little techniques that work. The big thing here is, again, it's not like you have to retread the wheel. Blowout kits. There are some phenomenal videos that were done 2 years ago, 4 years ago, that have not outdated in any way, shape, or form. In fact, they're as viable and just as critical right now. There's no reason to switch your path. But go out there and take a look at as many of the different ideas that have been put forward by the people and lessons they've learned and classes that they've given or classes they've taken. And they're sharing the information with you. You need to absorb that data. It needs to be second nature in your inventory of things to do. Okay? You need to know when to and when not to. You need to know how to move, and you need to make sure you know when to move. There's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be picked up on, and you're not going to have enough time. We're looking at 30, 60, 90 days again to the shipwreck window now. We were a little farther out, beginning of the month, obviously, but guys, we're headed towards September now. So take it seriously. Again, to watch the videos, especially where you've got a lot of the live feed, one thing I would pay attention to is that the audio perception also, because of the way microphones pick up noise or negate noise. This video about homeowner with long-range rifle shoots at Black Lives Matter protester during march to D.C., injuring one. You can hear the thunk on the car when it got a good solid hit. Now, listen to that. Close your eyes and listen to the audio tracks. When you have small arms exchanges, listen to the audio tracks. Here's something I've told you about before. Put a decent little 4 or 6 speaker sound system together, even with a woofer. Position it around where you're going to be monitoring or observing. You can use your big television nowadays for watching YouTube. Close your eyes and listen. And literally, you are on the field with the person that's experiencing it based upon how they collected the data. So you can hear what's going on. And remember, you'd be surprised at how much that stupid little mic on the camera or that stupid, really tiny mic on the cell phone actually picked up, which kind of tells you when they're spying on you and using your phone as a monitor, just how useful it is for the government to use to spy on you. Oh, yeah, that's right. If it could do such a good job with audio control pickup in a field situation, just imagine when they switch it on to listen to you, how much they can really pick up. Something y'all should be thinking about. Anyway, we are at the top here for everybody. It is Communications Tuesday. Most important here is pay attention all 360 degrees. Always pay attention to what's in your environment. Remember, the one that's trying to act like he's not, or he or she or they are not paying attention to you, they are. The ones who are trying the most to act like they're not looking at you, well, that's not correct. If you, the best way to test that is go to a grocery store or a Myers or whatever, park out in front of it. I do this all the time. I don't go into a store and I won't wear a dog muzzle. But if you go in front of the store and sit and watch, how do people make eye contact with you? How do people observe themselves? What do they do? When you got somebody trying to act like they're just not paying attention, but they're closing the distance on you, they're homing on you, people. You better be paying attention. If you watch all these videos of all these beatdowns and these sucker punches, take a look at how they operate. There's valuable tools there. It'll help you to be able to read body language of aggressor actions when the time comes. We're at the top. We do have music going here. For everybody out there, guys, support Liberty Tree Radio, www.libertytreeradio.ormg.com. Please take the time and donate. God bless our republic. Death to the New World Order. We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The empire's on the run. We're on a march. We're going to get out of the way. More Liberty Tree Radio coming up, and then we'll be back at 8 o'clock for the evening intelligence report. God bless. Bye-bye.